All right, Shalom, Shalom, Ashar Shabbat to the 12 tribes scattered across the four corners of the earth. We back at it again with another Shabbat class. Most High willing, everybody's feeling well in the spirit, doing everything they can to continue to endure as the days wax worse and worse, praying and fasting, doing all that they can, right? So let's go ahead and kick it off with opening precept, the book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Yahushua, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father by Him. Right. So everything we do in word or deed, we do it all in the name of the Lord Yahushua, giving thanks to the Most High God Yahweh. That's why we say call Allah Yahweh by Hashem Mashiach woman like Yahushua. That's all honor and glory to the Most High God through His Son, who the Word nearly calls Jesus Christ. This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 4 and verse 11. And he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Yahushua. All right, so everything we do is for the perfecting of the saints, the work of the ministry, and the edifying of the body of Yahushua, which is the Israelites spread across the four corners of the earth, chiefly on the western side of the hemisphere, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right, and this week is literally a segue into or part two of what we went into last week, which is that we are less merciful than the Most High. This one is entitled "You Ain't Perfect, Have Mercy." Right, because what we were getting into is how the Most High has so much mercy unto His people when we're undeserving of it, yet we have no mercy to our people. We don't grant our people mercy, right? We expect our people to be perfect, although, right, we're not perfect. We expect our people not to fall short, although we fall short, right? We have this overrighteous spirit that we continue to set forth out there in Israel, an unachievable overrighteous spirit, right? Telling brothers and sisters and acting as if brothers and sisters don't need Yahushua. Ultimately, that's the spirit that brothers are moving in, right? We all need Yahushua. We all need the Lord's mercy. We all need the Lord's grace. And we have to start applying that towards one another and stop offending each other out of the truth with mercilessness, man. Right? So I'm going to kick it off with the book of Matthew, classic precept. Right? It's the book of Matthew, chapter 7, right? And verse 2. For with what judgment ye have judged, ye shall be judged, and what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again, right? So we have to really understand that when we walk around and we're completely merciless towards our brothers and sisters, right? We have to understand that the Lord is going to meet us with that same mercilessness in our walk, right? He's going to treat us the same way, right? He's going to move the same way towards us. Why? Because we're merciless. We're showing forth a spirit as if we don't need mercy, as if we're perfect. So if we act that way towards one another, just know the Lord is going to treat you the same way. Hey, all your falling shorts, all the things that you've done, all the things you do, and the Lord is going to hold you accountable for that. You want to be over righteous, and the Lord is going to judge you by your over righteousness, man. Let's go to the book of James. Right? It's the book of James, chapter 2 and verse 12. And it says, so speak ye and so do, as they shall be judged by the law of liberty. Right? We have been granted the ability to be judged by the law of liberty, right? Which is the law of grace, right? Yahushua, mercy, right? Verse 13, for he shall have judgment without mercy, and he have showed no, for he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment, right? So guess what? If you have not showed mercy, hey, you're going to be judged without mercy. Mercy rejoiceth against judgment, huh? So you got to understand this. And I think a lot of our people, right, we say it, but we don't understand it because we don't act like it. We don't walk like it. We don't talk like it. All we do is act as if we're just this upstanding, perfect individual. We don't fall short. You know, everything that we do is the right way, right? We hold each other to this standard that nobody can meet, man. The same spirit that the Pharisees walked in the time of Yahushua, right? Holding everybody to a standard that they're not meeting on their own, right? Hey, a lot of times brothers do that with the feast days, man. But they like just retarded, man. Brother, you better not work, brother. You better not work. You can't work on that feast day. You better not go to work, brother. You go to work, the Lord not dealing with you. That's off. We're in captivity. Everybody doesn't have the ability to take that day off, right? Brother, you're not sleeping in the tent in the Feast of Tabernacle, brother. Brother, you ain't gonna make it, brother. That's off. That's off. Because if we're gonna hold people to that law, well, the law says you're supposed to cut down myrtle trees, right? And all kind of things, man. And myrtle trees don't even grow in America, man. So we're gonna hold people to that standard. Hey, everybody out of there, man. It doesn't say you kind of can order a tent from Walmart or Amazon and stay in the tent. That's not what it says in the law. So, but you expect that mercy to say, hey, well, I'm trying to rehearse it. And I believe the Lord is going to have mercy on me for not keeping it the way he said, because I'm trying. So why we don't have that same measure towards our brothers and sisters in all the other, in the other retrospects? The ones who can't take the day off, or maybe the one that lives in an apartment complex, right? And can't get it and can't get a tent, or whatever it may be, man. We got to look at these things. This over righteousness, this lack of mercy offends so many brothers and sisters out of the truth, man. And we all need the Lord's mercy because we all fall short. None of us are walking in the law in the letter of the law. And if you want to hold your brother to the letter of the law, then you're going to be judged by the letter of the law, right? And you ain't keeping the letter of the law. So guess what, man? We got to get out of that spirit, that merciless spirit, and we got to get into the spirit of the law of liberty, the spirit of loving our people. And when you love your people, you have mercy upon your people. We're not promoting lawlessness. We're promoting Yahweh Shai. There's a vast difference. And you see the difference when Paul teaches. The people who had not understanding of Yahweh Shai, and they thought he was preaching against the law. But Paul said, hey, he believed in all things in the law, man. But he was teaching Yahweh Shai. How many times do people go to talk to camps and say, man, y'all got the spirit of Yahweh Shai, you got the spirit of Christ. Y'all sound like Paul. So y'all don't believe in the law. Like, they don't say that. What they say is, hey, y'all like the Pharisees, right? Y'all remind me of the Pharisees. Law. And we're not saying that brothers and sisters shouldn't keep the law. We're not saying that brothers and sisters shouldn't strive to be perfect. We're saying that we have Yahweh Shai, and we got to remember that, right? We have to remember that. And that's in all aspects. The law is what I'm dealing with right now, but in all aspects, and we're going to touch on that, man, right? In all aspects, we need to have mercy towards one another because we're all in this flesh. Let me get this classic. I pulled number classics. This is a book of Romans chapter 3 and verse 23. And it says, and it says, I'm going to start at 21. But now the righteousness of the Most High without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets, even the righteousness of the Most High, which is by faith of Yahweh Shai Mashiach, unto all and upon all them that believe. For there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Hey, so we all fall short. We all have sinned. We all go off. We all still sin, right? And we expect and we believe that we're going to get the mercy from Yahweh Shai when that happens. But why don't we give each other that same mercy, that same grace? Right? The same space. Hey, people are scared to come and confess their faults to their brothers and sisters because they're scared they're going to be judged and condemned, man. When they should feel free to come confess to you so you can pray for them, fast with them, fast for or with them, man. Exhort them. We're not getting those phone calls and those emails that we should be getting and those one-on-one face-to-face that we should be getting because brothers and sisters are scared that you're going to condemn them because of how we come off. We can never heal our people because they won't tell us they're sick because of how we come off. We come off as these people that are so over righteous and we don't fall short and you can't fall short. And if you do fall short, we're not dealing with you. The Lord not dealing with you. So when people are sick and they're dealing with things, they're scared to come to us. We have to look at these things, man, because that means we're not loving our people the right way. Loving your people is loving your people in their shortcomings when they fall short. The same as when you have children and your children fall short, you love them through it. You correct them, you rebuke them, but you love them through it with mercy. You don't kill your son or your daughter the first time they do something you told them not to do. Right? We got it, King.
King, a lot of good points, right? And as far as touching the judgment, how we deal with one another as a nation, you know what I'm saying? It's like obviously, like you're saying, we gotta have more mercy. It's we tend to, it's crazy how the Lord works because it's like you said, for we all fall short, we all have sinned or whatnot, and we'll judge another individual on their sins or their shortcomings. Specifically, one sometimes it could be something that you never dealt with, right? And the way that you treat that individual, you know what I'm saying, and their shortcomings, hey, you never know down the line. Now that same thing that you scoffed at and mocked, you know what I'm saying, when that person shortcoming or condemned them or brought them down, now the Lord done put that on you. Not how you look, right? And then in the public eye, obviously it's gonna look like some type of hypocrisy. It's like if you had simply showed that person love, you know what I'm saying? Shalakia, showed that person some love or I handle it, decently and in order. You know what I'm saying? That might not have never had came upon you, but it's the way that we handle things from time to time that, like I say, it's mysterious how the Lord works. So I'm gonna grab first. I spoke on it last week, but I didn't bring it up. Matthew 7. So Matthew 7 from the top, it says, Judge not that ye be not judged, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. And that's kind of, going into what I was just saying, because, sometimes people would directly already have that same type of spirit of sin upon them, and then just openly act like that their stuff don't stink, or try to not display their secret sins and try to get off on somebody else. But then sometimes the Lord, like I say, he work in mysterious ways. Let me grab one more on that real quick. Go to the book of Romans. Romans 2 from the top. It says, Therefore thou art inexcusable, O man, whosoever thou art that judgest. For wherein thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself. For though thou judgest, for thou that judgest, my bad, for thou that judgest doeth the same things. But we are sure that the judgment of God is according to truth against them which commit such things. So, going into the same exact thing, like you judging another person, but you're doing the same exact thing. And even if it's not right now, it's like the harshness, the mercilessness that we have on our people, to where you will tear them down, you will tear their whole spirit down, make them feel less than. We had a brother come by camp. This is a long time ago. It should be considered an elder. You know what I'm saying? We should be at his door knocking, asking for, some type of insight, right? And he was like, I know all these things. Like, I know these precepts. I know the commandments or whatever. It's like, well, what's going on, brother? And he was tore down by his congregation. I'm not gonna mention it. I'm not gonna mention who the congregation is, but he was torn down by his congregation. Therefore, now he done went a whole nother route, and he know what the word says, but because they made that man feel less than and broke his spirit, now he no longer keeps keeps the truth, basically, for lack of better words. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we gotta be mindful of how we deal with one another, because we quick to tear one another down because we feel like you come into this understanding, you should know better, you're held to a high stature or understanding. But and that's all kind of true, but in the same sense, what is spoken to us time and time again, that we need to love one another. You know what I'm saying? And we need to have what unfeigned love or unconditional love for our people, right? And if you're doing that, you're not tearing them down. You know what I'm saying? Or breaking them down. But grab one more real quick and I'll pass it back to you, King. So stay in the book of Romans. It's Romans 14. And this is going into, things consumed, right? But still, it still kind of touch on it. Romans 14 from the top said, him that is weak in the faith receive ye, but not to doubtful disputations. For one believeth that he may eat all things, another who is weak eateth herbs. Let not him eateth despise him that eateth not, and let not him which eateth not judge him that eateth, for God have received him. And the crazy thing about it is, this is right here in the scriptures. And I see this bickering back and forth with Israel about all these little things that don't even really make no sense. Like, people banging on other people about like, nah, you need to be a vegan. You know what I'm saying? The only time I might, eat of some flesh is the Passover, and then vice versa. You going off because you not consuming, and you thinking that like you see these laws on what we can't eat and just going back and forth. And like, what does it say? It says, let not him that eateth despise him that eateth not, and let not him which eateth not judge him that eateth, for God hath received him, right? And that's the point. Verse 4. Who art thou that judgest another man's servant, right? You sitting up there trying to condemn somebody, or, act like you got it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, and yes, with this word, we be fully convinced in our own mind. We do our due diligence. You know what I'm saying? We searching out these scriptures daily and things like that. And sometimes that leads you to feel like, I guess, that you're able or apt to judge. But who art thou that judges another man's servant? You don't know how it's gonna go with that person on their path in this walk, or what the Lord is gonna bring them to. But let me finish out this verse, and you got it, King. It says, who art thou that judgest another man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth. Yeah, he shall be holding up, for God is able to make him stand. And you got it, King.
And with that, I want to make sure that we cover this as well, right? And with everything, we not saying that, there's no balance. There's always a balance, right? We're not saying to enable wickedness. We're not saying to enable bad behavior. We're not saying that a brother or a sister has consistently showed that they're not walking in the spirit of the Most High, and you just keep having mercy. That wouldn't be mercy. Mercy is somebody who is striving and they are falling short, but they're striving. But somebody who isn't striving, isn't accountable, isn't trying, right? They just continue to do wicked things, right? That's not the same thing. So let me get a couple precepts on that real fast, and then we'll get back to it, right? Just for the balance, right? So this is the book of 3rd John, and I'm gonna start at verse 8. We therefore ought to receive such that we might be fellow worshipers to the truth. I wrote unto the church, but Diotrephes, who loveth to have the preeminence among them, receiveth us not. Wherefore if I come, I will remember his deeds, which he doeth, prating against us with malicious words, and no content therewith, neither doeth he himself receive the brethren, and forbiddeth them that would cast them out of the church. Beloved, follow not that which is evil, but that which is good. He that doeth good is of the Most High, but he that doeth evil hath not seen the Most High. So you have to understand the separation and the balance, right? You're not going to have mercy for somebody who's doing evil, right? Hey, they haven't seen the Most High. That's not your brother. Just because they're Israelite doesn't mean that they're your brother or your sister, right? Diotrephes was an Israelite, man. But guess what? Hey, he wasn't doing good. His spirit wasn't with the Lord, right? So he don't get mercy, man, right? Let's get this. Let me get a couple precepts on this, because I want to make sure, because, Israel, if we do a whole class on just mercy, Israel take it and think, hey, so your brother said that we got to be merciful, man. So, even though brothers are wicked, you just got to keep having mercy. No, there's a balance, right? Don't be foolish, right? This is the book of Titus, chapter 3 and verse 10. A man that is inherited after the first and second admonition reject, knowing that he that is such is subverted and sinneth, being condemned of himself. So they condemn themselves, man. That's not you being merciless, right? That's them condemning themselves. There's a vast separation between that, right? AA is a heretic. You done admonished them once, twice, right? They don't want to hear it, right? That's Matthew 18, right? You went to them one-on-one, then you brought them 2 witnesses, then you brought them to the congregation, and they still don't want to hear the matter, right? It says what? Treat them as a publican, man. So there's a balance. We're not saying not to have a just balance, and we're not saying not to have what's the word? Discernment, man. Utilize it too. What we're getting at in this class is how our people treat each other and how we come off on these videos and on the highways and hedges to the point where if somebody is falling short and they need prayer, they need fasting, they need counseling, they're too scared to even say it to us because of how we come off. That's what we're getting at. We're getting at, the pointing of the fingers consistently as if you don't have 4 fingers pointing back at you, man. 3 fingers in the thumb. Pointing back at you, man. Right? That's what we're getting at, man. More than anything. So I'm going to get 2 more precepts and an account real quick. Right? This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse. What I want. Verse 2. And ye are puffed up and have not rather mourned, that he that hath done this deed might be taken away from among you. For verily, as absent in body, but present in spirit, have judged already, as though I were present, concerning him that have so done this deed. In the name of our Lord Yahushua Mashiach, when ye are gathered together, and my spirit with the power of our Lord Yahushua Mashiach, to deliver such as one unto Satan for destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord Yahushua Mashiach. So some people you got to deliver unto Satan. I mean, you got to leave them alone. You got to cast them out, right? That's what Paul was saying. Hey, you got to cast this man out. Some people you got to cast out. Some people have to be isolated, and hopefully their isolation will make them what? Reflect upon themselves and repent and be better, right? That's why it says that they'll destroy the flesh in the spirit and learn not to be a blasphemer, that they may be saved in the day of Yahushua. So some people you can't hold on to for too long. Some people you got to kind of let go of, right? Going into what Titus just said, going into Matthew 18. Some people you got to kind of let them go, right? Let's get an account. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15. And I'm going to get straight to the point, right? 34. Then Samuel went to Ramah, and Saul went up to his house to Gilgal of Saul. And Samuel came no more to see Saul until the day of his death. Nevertheless, Samuel mourned for Saul, and the Lord repented that he had made Saul king over Israel. So guess what? Hey, Samuel, he tried with Saul, man, twice. And Saul continued to go to hell off. So after the 3rd time, Samuel came no more to see Saul. So he had mercy. But at some point, the mercy ran out. And he came no more to see Saul. And Saul continued to wax worse, right? And what? He condemned himself. This is 1 Samuel chapter 28. As we read, this is what we read, right? 1 Samuel, so there's a separation between you being the condemner and them condemning themselves, right? 1 Samuel 28 and verse number 15. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and Yahweh is departed from me and answering me no more, neither by the prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, wherefore, when doest thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee, and has become thine enemy? And the Lord hath done to him as he spake by me, for the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand and given it to thy neighbor David, right? Because thou obeyedest not the voice of the Lord, nor executed his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto thee this day. So there's a separation. There's a vast separation. He made it very clear. Hey, you didn't execute the words of the Most High, right? You had opportunity after opportunity, and you continued not to execute the word of the Lord. Now, the final straw was the Amalekites. But the point is, hey, the Lord had departed from Saul, and so did Samuel. Hey, you got to know when to depart. You got to know when to say, hey, you done condemned yourself. It's time to let you go. But there's mercy in that. You allowing them to condemn themselves. But don't be foolish. People show you who they are, right? And when they show you who you are, you got to believe them. You got it, King.
Kind to add to what you're bringing out, I just got one precept on that I thought about that you was like after your first or second precept, just to add to it, in the book of the Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 13. Now this right here, obviously, I would say that these letters that Paul is writing in his absence, right, or when he's actually traveling there, this is our mercy. Look at what he says right here, right? Because he's exhorting them to come out of the ways that they're moving in, right? But then this is what he says right here in 2 Corinthians 13. It says, "This is the third time I am coming to you. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. I told you before and foretell you as if I were present the second time. And being absent now, I write to them which heretofore have sinned, and to all other, that if I come again, I will not spare." So just to add to what you was talking about, obviously there's some balance. There's a time and a place for everything. I mean, he said this is the third time I am coming to you. Like, he has been merciful and extending some type of grace or time period for them to try to get their act together, right? But yeah, you got it, King.
Right. So this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 14 and verse 31, right? And it reads, he that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker, but he that honoreth him have mercy on the poor. Right? Now, that's not talking about, the beggar. It's on the corner of that's down, on the corner of the street. Right? It's a spiritual poor. Right? And if you honor the Lord, you'll have mercy on the poor, and we are the poor. The poor is us. Right? Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians. Let's prove that. All right, let's prove that we are the poor. So you got to honor the poor. I mean, you got to care for the poor. Have mercy on the poor. That's how you honor the Lord. You have mercy on your people. You showing forth that you honor the Most High, right? It's the book of Second Corinthians, chapter 6, and I'm gonna start at verse 9. As unknown and yet well known, as dying and behold we live, as chastened and not killed, as sorrowful yet always rejoicing, as poor yet making many rich, as having nothing and yet possessing all things. Right? Hey, we're poor. Right? We're poor because we're in captivity. We are the poor because we are not the ruling class. We are the poor because we're in hell. So guess what? You got to have mercy on the poor if you honor the Lord. Right? So these actions that we see forth with a lot of these camps and a lot of these camp leaders and a lot of these men, a lot of these women, what I'm gonna read it again. Proverbs 14:31. What does it say? It says, "He that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker." Right? You damn oppressing your own people, right? By giving them these grievous things that they got to do, or telling them, these grievous burdens of ways that they got to operate, when the Lord has already told them that not so. Hey, Paul, he said, "Hey, I give you no more things than these," and he gave him a starter pack of commandments to keep. Yeah, brothers and sisters in the truth today, man, right? Hey, man, they got all kind of burdens for you, man. You got brothers that tell you, your newborn baby got to fast on the Day of Atonement, man. As if Yahweh Shai is not our atonement. You oppressing the poor, man. It's not only talking about the physical poor and you kind of taking money out of their hands. No, we are the poor. And you can oppress them spiritually by being merciless. As if you're perfect. Right? Let's go to Jeremiah. One more precept on us being the poor, right? Let's go to Jeremiah. Another way that we can be called poor, should I say. And we're poor because we're brought low. We're in captivity, right? But we're also poor, right, when our spirit isn't right. We're also poor when we're being foolish towards the Lord, right? Because the Lord is our riches. When we're walking without wisdom, we become poor, right? Wisdom is riches. So when you walk without wisdom, you're poor. A lot of our people, especially coming into the truth, are very poor, man. Yeah, they learn who they are, but they still have not learned the wisdom of the Most High. They still have not understanding. And you oppress them by giving them these grievous deeds to do and making them believe they got to operate in a way that they could never fully operate in. So then they get offended and they fall out the truth. Or then they, like I said earlier, they fall short and they don't want to call and get counsel or get exhortation because they're embarrassed because of how you come off. But they're poor and you're oppressing them. We shouldn't be so scared to confess our shortcomings to one another, man. We shouldn't be. It's a damn shame. But we are because of how we come off, how we treat one another. That is not the spirit of Yahushua. And we ain't going to make it like that, man. We're not going to make it like the Lord. The whole book is trying to get us to understand how to love each other, man. That love comes with the mercy that you give one another. Right? This is Jeremiah chapter 5. And I'm gonna start at verse 3. Well, I'm gonna start at verse 1. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, "Run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem." Context, right? Jerusalem, the Jews, southern kingdom, but it's all Israel. "And see now and know and seek in the broad places thereof, if ye can find a man, if there be any that execute judgment and seeketh truth, and I will pardon it. And though they say the Lord liveth, surely they swear falsely. O Lord, are not thine eyes upon the truth? Thou hast stricken them, but they have not grieved. Thou hast consumed them, but they have refused to receive correction. They have made their faces harder than a rock. They have refused to return. Therefore I said, surely these are poor. They are foolish, for they know not the way of the Most High, nor the judgment of the power." That's our people, man. That's our people. A lot of our people are poor because they know not the judgment of the Most High. They're foolish. They have not the understanding. And we have no business oppressing the people who are coming out of a place of having no understanding and starting to gain some understanding. Now they starting to gain understanding, and brothers want to act like it's magic. You kind of come into this truth, and all the falling short that you did, all the misunderstandings you had, all the flesh that you were struggling with, it just goes away. It's not magic. It's not instant. It's a struggle. And we as the body of Yahushua are supposed to help each other fight that struggle and not continuously drag each other down, man. We carry that crabs in the barrel spirit in the damn truth, man. You want to drag your brother down, you want to drag your sister down because they're not moving the way that you think they should move, but they're not going against the scriptures. You want to drag your brother or your sister down because you want to be over righteous in your teachings. What we read it already. The Lord is going to judge you by that measure, so you better get ready for it. You better get ready for it. But you got it, King.
Mighty points. And just to take it another angle, right? Like I say, you ain't perfect, have mercy, right? And we got many forefathers, foremothers in the scriptures that were considered perfect, out of the Lord's mouth, right? And they still needed the mercy of the Lord, right? So how much more do we, right? We don't have scribes or prophets, glorifying us and our works before the Lord, proving that, like saying that, oh yeah, brother disciple Gabar, he's an upright man, you know what I'm saying? Jamaica, he's a devout, whatever. Like we don't have nobody, clarifying our works or before God, you know what I'm saying, showing the best way to put it is showing us approve of God, you know what I'm saying, or commending us by way of the Most High God, right? But these men still needed mercy, but again, we don't show forth mercy. But I'm gonna grab a few accounts, right? I'm gonna start real quick at another classic. This is Sirach 49 and 4, right? It says, all except David and Ezekiah and Josiah were defective, for they forsook the law of the Most High. Even the kings of Judah failed, right? And that's talking about the other kings. The other kings forsook the law of the Most High, and the kings of Judah failed. But these three, they were considered defective. Now, we harp on David a lot, right? David, 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 David. So I'm gonna get into real quick Hezekiah's and Josiah's, right? So with Hezekiah, he was considered obviously defective, or a man of God, a man of God, or a man after the Lord's own heart. Let's grab this real quick. And this is also classic, but Isaiah 30, Isaiah 38. It says, from the top, it says, in those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and Isaiah the prophet, son of Amos, came unto him and said unto him, thus saith the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Then Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed unto the Lord and said, remember now, O Lord, I beseech thee, how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. Then came the word of the Lord to Isaiah, saying, go and say to Hezekiah, thus saith the Lord, the God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will add unto thy days 15 years, and I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city. Because this is one of the afflictions that he was going through, dealing with the king of Assyria. But it also said he had to set his house in order, right? That could be a physical house. He's a king. That could be his kingdom. But nonetheless, he came to the a Lord, a man who, this is in his own words, but his reputation precedes him, right? That, walk before the Lord in truth and with the perfect heart, but yet he still needed mercy. He showed that contrition to the Lord. The Lord added 15 years unto him, right? And this is, like I said, this is a person whose reputation precedes them. Another one. Let me go back to Sirach 49, right? So I'm gonna read from the top. Sirach 49 and 1, it says, the remembrance of Josiah is like the composition of the perfume that is made by the art of the apothecary. It is sweet as honey in all mouths, and as music at a banquet of wine. Now, speaking of somebody's reputation preceding them, like, hey man, like look at how his name is extolled to the clouds. None of us had that. Nobody knows Jamaica from Houston. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't. But look at how this man name ring bells for the right reason, for righteousness' sake, right? Verse 2, it says, he have behaved himself uprightly in the conversion of the people, and took away the abominations of iniquity. He directed his heart unto the Lord, and in the time of the ungodly, he established the worship of God, right? So it shows how, righteousness is, but we all fall short. As the brother brought up earlier, he fell short too, by way of the Most High God, and then he ended up needing mercy, right? Let me grab that. I think it's in Second Chronicles. My bad. Is it 35? I think it's 35. Hold on just a second. 35. Let me see. I'm at 36. The Second Chronicles 35 and 20. It says, after all this, when Josiah had prepared the temple, Necho, king of Egypt, came up to fight against Carchemish by Euphrates, and Josiah went out against him. But he sent ambassadors to him, saying, what have I to do with thee, thou king of Judah. I come not against thee this day, but against the house wherewith I have war. For God commanded me to make haste. Forbear thee from meddling with God, who is with me, that he destroy thee not. Nevertheless, Josiah would not turn his face from him, but disguised himself, that he might fight with him, and hearken not unto the words of Necho from the mouth of God, and came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. Now, side note, I know we're not dealing with this, but brothers bring that out all the time about, like, with Moses and Jethro, or sometimes the Lord using whichever vessel that he wants to use. And I'm pretty sure Josiah, is looking at this like the Lord is not dealing with a king of Egypt, right? But obviously it's saying that this is coming from the mouth of God. I read it one more time, verse 22. Nevertheless, Josiah would not turn his face from him, but disguise himself, that he might fight with him, and hearken not unto the words of Necho from the mouth of God, and came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. Verse 23, and the archers shot at King Josiah, and the king said to his servants, have me away, for I am sore wounded. His servants therefore took him out of that chariot, and put him in the second chariot that he had, and brought him to Jerusalem. And he died, and was buried in one of the sepulchres of his fathers. And all Judah and Jerusalem mourned for Josiah, Salakia. So when we kind of try to bring it back full circle, because the last class, he brought out Matthew 18, right? And then, when it come down to us seeking out some type of mercy from the Most High God, whenever we hit any trials, tribulations, or afflictions, we drop to the knees and we expect him, to deliver a fast miracle, right? But then when it's one of our brothers, or one of our people, and they need that same type of mercy, we don't showcase it, right? Again, not to reread it. It was in Matthew 18. If you didn't see the last one, check it out. The brother was dropping some bombs with the precepts, but yeah, you got it, King. You on mute, up.
Con. So you brought out, what I'm saying, Hezekiah and Josiah, right? I want to get an account on Josiah real quick, and then I'm gonna move on. And then I'm gonna move on to, like, it is something to look at with David, right? Although he's known as perfect, right? It's still something to look at with David. I want to bring out, but let me go to Josiah real fast. Let me read something about Josiah, right? I think this is very important, because it really deals with, Josiah. One of the biggest things that we deal with in this truth is brothers over righteousness when it comes to the feast days, right? Very, 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 very big deal, right? Brothers be extremely over righteous when it comes to the feast days, right? Josiah, who was a perfect king, David, who was a perfect king, right? Let's read something. Hezekiah was the first Passover that was kept in the time of the kings. I want brothers and sisters to really understand that, right? There was no Passover kept until Hezekiah, right? David is known as perfect. I'm gonna reiterate myself. David is known as perfect. There was no Passover kept until Hezekiah. There's a lot of hundreds, about 120, 30 years in between David and Hezekiah, right? And David is known as perfect. And literally there was no Passover kept. Not telling brothers and sisters they shouldn't keep Passover. What I'm showing you is the mercy of the Lord and what he has upon you when your spirit is right. When you have the right spirit towards serving him, right? That the Lord is going to apply that mercy into you. So it's not about your physical deeds. It's about your spirit. That's John 4, right? That's why we got to have mercy on our brothers and sisters, because the Lord is not looking for your physical deeds. He's looking for you to have a spirit towards him. Now we know James 2, faith without works is dead. We stand on that. But what we want brothers and sisters to really understand is that we got to have mercy on our brothers and sisters, because ultimately it's about that spirit. And if they're striving, but they're struggling in their strive, then they have the right spirit, because they're still striving and fighting. And you should be helping them through that strive and not condemning them. Let me get this on Josiah real quick. Right? This is 2 Kings chapter 22 and verse 10. And Shaphan the scribe showed the king, saying, Hilkiah, the priest, had delivered me a book, and Shaphan read it before the king. And it came to pass, when the king heard the words of the book of the law, that he rent his clothes. Right? Why? Because he was like, damn, I ain't been doing this stuff. I ain't been doing it. I'm going off. And he rent his clothes because he desired to serve the Lord. He had the right spirit of serving the Lord. His heart was right with the Lord, right? He had the right heart. So all that time until when that book was delivered to him, he did what he knew to do. But the things he didn't know what to do, because he didn't have a book, he wasn't doing. But the moment he heard it, he had contrition in his spirit, and he rent his clothes, and he went to right his wrongs. And because of that, although he was living wickedly, what did the Lord say? Verse 16, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon this place, upon the inhabitants thereof, even all the words of the book which the king of Judah have read, because they have forsaken me and have burnt incense unto other gods, and they might provoke me to anger with all the works of their hands. Therefore my wrath shall be kindled against this place, and shall not be quenched. But to the king of Judah, which sent you to inquire of the Lord, thus shall ye say unto him, thus saith the Lord power of Israel, as touching the words which thou hast heard, because thine heart was tender, and thou hast humbled thyself before Yahweh, when thou hearest what I spake against this place and against the inhabitants thereof, and that they should become a desolation and a curse, and has rent thy clothes and wept before me. I also have heard thee, saith the Lord. Behold, therefore I will gather thee unto thy fathers, and thou shalt be gathered into thy grave in peace, and thine eyes shall not see all the evil which I shall bring upon this place. And they brought the king word again, right? Because his heart was right. It wasn't because he was doing the right things. It was because his heart was right. The Lord granted him mercy. We have to understand these things when we're trying to perpetuate this over righteousness with things that we could never fully keep the right way. Brothers like to, I'm telling you, it's weird to me. There's not a word. It's weird. You want to hold brothers and sisters to these standards via the law. And then when you read the law in its totality, it's like, well, brother, we're not even doing that. We're not doing that part of that same law. We're not keeping that. Like I said, Feast of Tabernacles. Well, brother, if you're not in a tent, brother, you're going off. You ain't got a tent, you're going off. Well, the law don't say tent. The law say booth made with myrtle trees. So how are we able to point at a brother and tell a brother he going off and not sleeping in a flimsy damn tent when the law don't say nothing about a tent? It's talking about myrtle trees and other trees and oak trees and stuff. You got to ask yourself these questions, man. The Lord is going to judge you the same way you passing judgment on a brother for not sleeping in a flimsy tent, because your ass is sleeping in a flimsy tent and that ain't a myrtle tree, ain't a booth. You see? But if your spirit is right towards it, and your spirit is right towards your brothers and your sisters, the Lord will have mercy on you in keeping it that way. That's why we got to have a right heart. You offend so many brothers and sisters out of the truth with that spirit, man. And we got to watch that. Right? So let's go to King David. King David, once again, a man who was known as perfect. Right? Let's see if David was praying for mercy. It's the book of Psalms chapter 9 and verse 9. The Most High also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in a time of trouble. Right? We are the oppressed. Right? And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee, for thou, Yahweh, has not forsaken them that seek thee. Sing praises to the Most High, which dwelleth in Zion. Declare among the people his doings. When he make inquisition for blood, he remembereth them and forgetteth not the cry of the humble. Have mercy upon me, O Yahweh. Consider my trouble, which I suffer, of them that hate me, that thou liftest me up from the gates of death. Right? David was praying for mercy, but David was a merciful man. I can give you a multitude of accounts of David showing mercy towards people, man. Hey, when Shammai was cursing him, and the son of Zuri wanted to take his head off, what he say? Hey, man, what have I to do with thee? My own son wants me to die. Maybe the Lord will see this and have mercy on me, man. There's many accounts. David was when the men went out to war, right? And some of them were faint of heart because their women and children were taken. And then they returned back with all the stuff and the women and children. And some of the wicked men said, nah, y'all didn't come out with us. Y'all don't get none of these spoils. David said, they get the same as you. David was being merciful. He wasn't unmerciful like the wicked men. Matter of fact, let's get that account real quick. Right? Let's get that account. 2 Samuel. Right? I believe it is. 1 Samuel chapter 30. And let's go straight to the point. Verse number 21. And David came to the 200 men which were so faint that they could not follow David, whom they had made also to abide at the brook of Bezor. And they went forth to meet David, to meet the people, and were with him. And when David came near to the people, he saluted them. Then answered all the wicked men and men of Belial of those that went with David and said, because they went not with us, we will not give them aught of the spoil that we have recovered, save every man his wife and his children, and that they may lead them away and depart. Then David said, ye shall not do so, my brethren, with that which the Lord hath given us, who hath preserved us and delivered us the company that came against us into our hand. For who will hearken unto you this in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall all part alike. Right? That was David showing mercy, man. Right? He could have been like, yeah, y'all didn't ride, y'all was faint. No, he understood. Hey, man, they was faint, man. They lost their women and children. They didn't have their strength within them to go fight. They were weak. They were depressed. And David had mercy on that matter and made sure they got the same portion of the spoils as the men that went to war, man. Because he understood why they didn't go. It's the same thing. You got to understand why your brother or your sister may be falling short. Because we're in this flesh. Because none of us are perfect. You got to understand why we have to continuously apply mercy to each other. Because this is a fight, and we are a body that strengthens each other. We're not supposed to be condemning and hurting each other. We're supposed to be strengthening each other. What it says, let me get this, and then I'm going to let J Mike close it out with his precepts, right? Let me get this. What does it say? We open with it, but let's finish it, right? Let's finish it. It's the book of Ephesians, chapter 4 and verse 11. And he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Yahushua, till we all come in the unity of faith and knowledge of the Son of the Most High, unto a perfect man, unto a measure of stature of the fullness of Yahushua, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro and carried about in every wind of doctrine, but the sleight of men and cunning craftiness whereby they lie in wait to deceive. But speaking truth in love may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even of Mashiach, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to effectual working in a measure of every part, making increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love. And that's plain upon tables. You got it, King.
Con. The only thing I was about to say, I mean, we really ain't got time for accounts, but like you open up a can of worms with David, but it's like as well as all the times dealing with Saul, right? You know what I'm saying? A man wanted to take his life, but he know that, this is a man of God, even though he's not professing the works to show forth to be a man of God. This is still God's chosen person that he chose to put in his office, right? And I just close with this, right? It couldn't be put no better than that. How you put it, King. I close with this. Philippians 1:9. And this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgment, that ye may approve things that are excellent, and that ye may be sincere and without offense to the day of Hamashiach, being filled with the fruits of righteousness, which are by Yahushua Mashiach, unto the glory and praise of Yahweh. Right? So I leave it with that.
Con. It may be a part 3 next week through the Spirit. We'll see what the Lord does. Most high willing, everybody enjoys the rest of their holy Shabbat. Love y'all until next time. Happy new moon, because we won't see y'all until after the new moon passes. Shalom.
Shalom, family.